this and that. And usually they don't really understand what's going on in the adults' lives. But even if they want to blame adults, and even if kids are born to adults that aren't doing the best by them, you want to blame kids for that. I don't want to blame kids for that. That's not their fault, I want to be part of a group of adults that says we'll wrap our arms around every child. We feel responsible for all of them. It's also the future of our country as well, depends upon that. So I do think, but that's a hard thing in the rhythms of our life. I think about Baltimore, where you are and where I grew up. There are certain parts of the city that have no sense of what's going on in other parts of the city, and it's an act of real effort and faith and lots of other things to care as deeply about parts of the city that have truly been disconnected and forgotten about.
And Baltimore is
done at a rate.
And as for as big a city as Baltimore is, it is surprisingly small in my world compared to Chicago or Boston.
Yep.
So it's all relative. But one of the things you kept talking about just now was being responsible. That's a scary word today in terms of being responsible, because it quickly leads to blame. And nobody wants any more of that.
Right. That's true. There's a lot of that going around in there.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm responsible for my kids, but I don't feel blame if they do something. I mean, well, usually. Okay, some days I feel like I go, wow, that really reflected bad on me as a dad. but that's me, having a bad day. And I think, again, when you're trying to be responsible for all the kids on your team, all the kids on your program, or whoever you can help with, it is simply that, here's the good part. There's no blame. All you can do is make things better. And I think when, again, it's so pie in the sky sounding, it almost makes, me starting to twitch here, but it's true, that it really does work that way. I did want to move towards some of the partnerships that you all are doing, because again, statistically, I mean, you're a big group. You've worked in all 50 states, more than 5,000 mentoring programs, been around for 25 years. What's some of the latest partnerships that you're doing? Because that's just key, because it just really keeps the momentum rolling when you take the same good idea, but I'll just say repackage it, reinvent it with a new partner.
Absolutely. We don't do any of our work alone. Our work is pretty irrelevant without partners. We have nonprofit and programmatic partners where we're helping them execute mentoring in most effective ways. So that could be anyone from the Urban League to Big Brothers Big Sisters, to Boys and Girls Club, to the Y, organizations people may have less heard of because they're newer, but like iMentor or Spark or Build, or a mom and pop, mentoring program in a community. In your community, there's a mentoring program called Thread in Baltimore City that's probably one of the best known in the city, but it's just in Baltimore. Like, it's not anywhere else, so it's less known outside of Baltimore. So we're working with a ton of nonprofits that are in the mentoring space. Then we're also working with people like Nike and people like the Obama Foundation and My Brother's Keeper. And the work we're doing with them is to use their platform to promote what becoming a mentor can do for our society. That it can drive equality, it can drive opportunity, it can drive greater understanding. That it's a pretty simple act that is one of the solutions to the many things that ail our country. And that it's an individual act that anyone can take. And so Nike is, helping us with that. It has our mentoring connector, which is the zip code search I talked about, embedded in all of their different equality campaigns. The President Obama and Steph Curry did a commercial. 25,000 people responded within 3 weeks, and it was aired during the NBA playoffs, asking people to be their brother's keeper and become a mentor. So we have promotional partners, we have nonprofit partners, and then we partner with a lot of companies around getting their employees engaged in mentoring, around how their managers can be more mentor-like in summer jobs. That could be anywhere from Deloitte, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, EY, a lot of different companies around the country. So those are all the different, and then policymakers would be the final one. A lot of elected officials. We just helped Tim Ryan, the congressman from Ohio, file a bill on fighting chronic absenteeism with mentoring. So things like that. Those are our different kinds of partners, and we're just trying to on-ramp everybody towards this same goal of better and more mentoring to meet the needs of all our kids.
Yeah, I would like to go back on, you mentioned working with industry, because again, you'll hear about mentoring, which is, relaying your experience to somebody else. But when you get to adults in particular, or even wondering if, does anyone over the age of 25 or 30 really need a mentor? I mean, everybody needs a mentor to the end, as far as I'm concerned, as late as they can go. And how do you structure those programs with business? Because, again, they're for-profit. They have a different mentality. They have a different perception from the public as opposed to mentoring within nonprofits. How do you work in that culture to get that to be effective and not just, yes, we have one, check the box?
Yeah, so companies usually ask us for two different things. One of the things they ask us for, because this generation of incoming employees is looking for volunteerism opportunities and connection to community. It's become an expectation. And so to help them with employee recruitment and retention, they need to have good volunteerism opportunities for people. And so one of the things we help them with is just partnering with the right nonprofits in their communities to engage their employees in mentoring, and in some cases building them mentoring programs if that's what they want to do. But that's mentoring kids. Within the companies, we've done less of that work on adult to adult mentoring. There are people that do that work. But we've really done that work around their strategy, around their employees engaging in mentoring. And we do some work on how they're mentoring young employees, especially with opportunity youth disconnected from school and work, in especially service and retail jobs. And a lot of that work, by the way, is just a business solution, right? It's not a check the box. It's like you're doing this to try to retain employees who are very hard to retain. And we're saying address their relationship needs and you might have a chance, and showing them who to partner with and how to do that. So it's getting them to their goals, really, with businesses' goals.
Right, because, again, I hear it over and over, which is, the millennials need so much hand-holding and they want all this and that and the other. And I've now responded pretty regularly, well, we all wanted it. I think we were getting it before. Maybe not in a formal program, but it must have been coming, because how can you want something you've never seen?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
Doesn't. So it's not, again, it's not blame. I just think that at some point it was. I think life was slower. It definitely is faster now, and I think there was either time to do the mentoring or to recognize you were receiving it, and maybe the latter was more important, so that it was your turn to give it. I had people go out of their way my whole career, school and beyond, that they were just so obvious and overt they were mentoring me. They'd say just literally things like, take it from an old man. Come out, we're going to have lunch and talk about stuff. They just weren't even trying to hide it in the least bit. So for me, it wasn't, you really didn't get it in too many places. And I didn't realize how unusual they were, which is why I have such a fascination with it, because it really is important. And it does fix everything that I think most people are worried about within the office, which is teamwork, commitment, retention. No one's got a pension, to stick around for. We're all completely portable with our 401ks. So if you're not sticking around for the culture of the company, which includes what do you get, outside the paycheck or any other benefits, I hope that starts swinging back. And what I'm also hoping is that groups like yours have a wave of people. I think it'll be the millennials, and now it's the centennials that are following them. I had to look both those up. But I'm hoping that that's what y'all are doing, is kind of rekindling that, so that you can only teach us old dogs so many new tricks, to start mentoring, but maybe that culture will begin over the next 10 years to move in. Is that too much for me to hope for?
No. Nothing is too much to hope for would be my answer in this world. But yes, I mean, I would say it's not only a hope, but there is intention behind the hope, and that is what we're working on. I think to so many of the points you just made, with a very transitional workforce and a portable workforce and a changing economy. I think what happens when things shift in America, as far as I can tell, is we don't do things at scale until they're not a choice anymore. And I think people are realizing this isn't a choice. If you want to attract people, if you want to keep people, let the companies that fail gripe about millennials. You don't have any choice anymore, We're only employing workers with a BA. We're going to have to invest in training and apprenticeships and relationships and all these things in the new economy, and we don't have a choice. And so, yeah, I don't think it's too much for hope for from a justice lens and from an economic lens as well. And I think they're both true.
Yeah, and one of the things I like to do is turn it around, which is if you're not into the social, justice part, do it for the economic, because it's just pretty obvious when more people are doing more useful things and happier about it. The bottom line is always better. It just is. Nobody wants a rebellion either among their workforce or their consumers. So let me ask you, because we're here at the end of the show here, or getting to the end, please let's go over some of any events that are coming up, including when you have the national conference and where it is. I want to make sure people know about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, mentoring.org, is the virtual storefront for everything we do. So check that out, I would tell folks. And anything I've mentioned, hopefully, is on there or can be found. The National Mentoring Summit is a gathering of the entire mentoring movement. It is the most uplifting part of it is that you have everything from police chiefs to guidance counselors to employment specialists and policymakers and philanthropists. It is in DC, January 24th to 26th, I believe, but our website will confirm or deny. And we, keep it very, very affordable because most folks that are coming are from small nonprofits. And I hope we'll see you there. That's our best kind of in-person national gathering of mentoring in the country of all kinds of programs. And then there's a lot of stuff on our website you'll see that's all free, that's virtually available. Monthly collaborative webinar series on different topics. In fact, we just had one that you can get on recording about sports and mentoring, coaching and mentoring, but tons of different topics: rural mentoring, mentoring boys and young men of color, just lots of different topics. And the elements of effective practice are on there. A way to request trainings on there. It's all on our website.
Excellent. And I will definitely be at this year's conference. Last year I found out about just a little bit too late, but it's a great location for me. And I know that people, I would go ahead to their website, check them out on social media, on Twitter, and you'll just find by following Mentor, you'll find connections to many, many, many other mentoring groups that may also be a different type of fit for you. And that's one of the best things that I'm getting and hoping to provide from this show is it's a wonderful tangled web of all the resources that are out there now that we can get a hold of each other. So
absolutely.
So David, again, thank you so much. David Shapiro with Mentor. And this is another great episode that I hope everybody will enjoy, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks so much, Dave.
Well, I started out down a dirty road. Started out all alone. I'm learning to fly, but I ain't got wings. Coming down is the hardest thing. So I've started out for God knows where. I guess I'll know when I get there.